Morning. I I'm just making this video to tell you to pay attention to the moments that give you goosebumps because those are special moments. They're not random. And those goosebumps, they're there with a message. That's your body responding to a soul message. And most of the times when we have these moments that we get goosebumps all over, it's a soul recognition that happens at that moment. And it could also be our soul sending us the message that we are at the right time in the right moment, that we are exactly where we need to be at that time, that moment, that experience that we're having has a very deep meaning and holds a deep lesson for our soul in our evolution. So please pay attention to those moments. I had so many of those moments happening to me. I normally get goosebumps, for example, when I hear a piece of information or read a piece of information that I somehow recognize as truth without any logical explanation behind it. Like, I don't know why. I just know that that's true. Um, it doesn't have any base behind that knowing, but I just know with certainty that that is true. My soul recognizes that information as truth, and that's when I get goosebumps all over. But also in certain experiences, for example, I recently had a very vivid dream. It was during, there was a really strong storm in London recently. I had that very vivid dream during that storm during the night. And it's interesting because I spoke to a good friend of mine and he also had a very vivid dream during that storm. So apparently it was a powerful storm. Um, but it was interesting because it was a very vivid dream where at one point I became conscious of the fact that I was in the dream. But because of the thunder and lightning, I kept waking up. But I would wake up from the dream and then fall asleep and go back into the same dream, on and off, like in and out of it. And in the dream, I was in Romania, which is in my hometown where I was born. And I was going around the town doing some shopping, and I passed a church. And there was a lot of people outside of the church listening to the service. And that's very common in Romania to see people outside of the church. Sometimes the churches are so full that people choose to stay, like they stay outside, and there's always speakers so everybody can hear everything. And there was a lot of people outside, and I know this church is a church I've been to with my mother as a child. And I thought maybe I should just join for like a quick prayer since I'm here and this is happening. And I remember being very, like, I was very self-conscious of the fact that I pray differently than them. And I was thinking they might see me praying differently and they might judge me if I'm gonna do it anyway. So normally we pray by holding our hands together in like a prayer motion. But when I pray now, I pray by holding my hands upwards like this, as in a receiving sign. And in the dream, I remember like closing my eyes. There was a song that started, a worship song in English, but it's a song that I've never heard. And I think that was the moment when I started realizing that I'm in a dream because it felt out of place, the fact that there was an English song. Um, because this was Romania, remember? It was an English song, and I closed my eyes and I was holding my hands like this upwards and I was singing. And at one point, I opened my eyes and I looked around me, and there were like a lot of young people that were singing with me and they were holding their hands upwards like this. They were praying just like me. And in that moment in the dream, I just got goosebumps all over my body. And I remember thinking, like, this is such a magical moment. This is such a beautiful dream. And I was aware of the fact that I was in a dream. And I even woke up, it was like 3 a.m. I woke up to record the song as I still had it in my mind. I could only remember one line and then the rest of the melody. So I woke up to record it because I really wanted to remember it. I might actually turn that into a song at one point. Um, but the thing is that I had a few days after I had an experience that was pretty much exactly the same like the dream. I went to do volunteering, and the volunteering was happening in a church. We were giving food to people in need. And then, right after the volunteering part, there was a church service. And I decided to stay for the church service. And it was like a very intimate service. There was not even 10 of us, there was just a few of us. And I had the exact same experience. So first, they had like this book leaflet with songs, and I realized that some of the worship songs that actually worship songs that I in English that I listened to, and I recognized them, and I found that beautiful. And as we were singing one of the songs that I knew already, I had my eyes closed and my hands upwards like this as I always do. And I had the exact same experience. Like I opened my eyes and I looked around me and they were all praying like and singing and in the same way as I did. Like they all had their hands like this. And I just had goosebumps all over my body. Like it was such an alignment, such a synchronicity in that moment. I had goosebumps all the way home, just keep thinking about that moment, tapping into the energy and how that moment felt. Magic, magic. And then I had another experience as I was coming the other day from work. I entered the tube station. I was going to take the train to go home. And as I was going down the escalators, this guy was playing the guitar downstairs. And I'm not a big fan of the guitar. For some reason, it's like one instrument that I'm just not that impressed with. I love the piano, I absolutely love the violin. There's so many other instruments that I love, but the guitar was just never my thing. I never resonated with it. The way this dude was playing the guitar, oh my God. And I recognized the melody, a melody that I haven't heard in a long, long time. But it was like he was remixing it in such a way, it just sounded so cool. And I was like, wow. And suddenly I just got goosebumps all over my body. And I had this smile on my face. It just made me feel a certain way. And I was thinking, oh, I was looking for like some cash to like just drop some tips. And I realized I didn't have any cash on me. And I just smiled and I nodded as in a way to show my gratitude and appreciation. And I walked past him. But as I kept going, just felt like wrong that I didn't give him anything. I didn't contribute with anything. And I remember that it had one of these card readers where you can just tap and tip a few pounds. And I actually went back and did that. And later on during my train trip, I actually looked the guy up. Actually, I found him on TikTok, um, which is weird because it was randomly. Like I went on TikTok and I scrolled and I found the guy, and then I found him on YouTube and followed him, and I'm really enjoying his music. So I just want to tell you to really pay attention to these moments where you get these goosebumps. They're not random. They're special moments. They're moments of alignment. And I remember hearing someone say somewhere a long time ago that when you get these goosebumps all over your body, the two hemispheres of the brain become synchronized. And I find that so beautiful because it does feel like a certain alignment is happening when the body gets these goosebumps. So I invite you to let me know in the comments if you ever had any of these moments where you got goosebumps all over your body. What happened in that moment? What message you received? What lesson did you learn? How did it feel? And also, if you've had this experience as well of getting goosebumps when you recognize an information as truth. I'm sending you love.